So, what is really stopping you from making your next film? Welcome to Feature Film in a Year, breaking down the process and busting the myths of making a movie. Great, so let's move on to the next one. A common barrier could be, I haven't found like the right idea to pursue. It's just not going to be a great film. Like, how do you speak against that?
I think that can be such a roadblock. Like just feeling that your idea. Maybe you go down the stages of trying to write a script for it and you get 30 pages in.
Is it like the whole kind of crumple up over the shoulder in the wastebasket situation?
Yeah, one see on films. Yeah, just typing away and like, oh.
And yeah, the more you kind of get stuck in that kind of cul-de-sac of yikes, where's this idea going? I thought it was brilliant at the start. The more you can then just start doubting that the idea was the right one in the first place. And yeah, before long you're screwing up your pages and going back to the drawing board and all the cliches. Oh, I'm done with this.
Yeah, I just want to get going.
So it seems that a thing of two things for me in terms of picking the idea that you believe in the most, maybe, in terms of you hear a lot of people just talk about you need to kind of believe in your idea to kind of see it through the process, because you do hit so many barriers, even within yourself, of this isn't good enough, but I'll keep on pushing through. And then in terms of the idea, making it into a feature, it can't be, you couldn't make an Avengers film for a tenner, you know, you can't have all this CGI and all these different people, but you could, you could do another thing using embracing, we've been talking about embracing the limitations that you have.
Embrace the limitations.
So those things would be maybe people available, cast and crew, locations, and there's certain things that can make life easier for you. I don't think that can be the overall thing that you kind of rules everything. You can't just do, I've only got a room. Well, people do. Only got one location, people do it. So that's a bad example. But that combination between those two different things for me.
I find it really helpful when you're kind of playing through an idea as to, has this idea got legs? Can I turn it into a decent story? Like firing questions at the idea, like how would the story be different if it just happened in one room? Or people talk about when to start the story and when to end it, what would happen to this story if actually I came in later than I'd originally imagined. And that can just kind of help reframe the idea in a fresh way, which can both like generate new inspiration, but can also solve some problems, whether it's budget problems or limitations.
So I once saw, I think it was a short film called The Exam, and it was a one location shot. Basically a load of people walk in, sit down at tables, and it's like an application for a job. They're all sitting there to get this like highly desirable job role in this huge company. And it was like a horror thriller almost. It turned into, they basically start like killing each other and to get this.
It's like a normal exam.
It's a normal exam. Well, it was like really gnarly.
Takes me right back to
rough school.
But what was really interesting about it was like they had just random actors that I'd never heard of before. I think they had one like A-list star just to clinch it, and they were like in the beginning scene, the last scene, which that's all we could afford. And it was just all in one room. But I was so engaged through the whole thing because this like thriller aspect just really kept you engaged. And it had the idea was amazing, and this beautiful twist at the end. You're like, it just hit you. And it's kind of like that was obviously their limitation. They had to have this one space, but it meant that they had a bit of push and pull for other things, like to get the story really neat, or to get that A-list actor for a couple of scenes or whatever.
I think the right idea doesn't have to have a car chase in. The right idea doesn't have to have like an intergalactic war. All these things that kind of add the budget and the complications. actually the right idea just needs to be a compelling drama between probably quite a limited number of people.
Yeah.
Or just something that is going to fit within what you have available. Because I don't think it's wrong to have those aspirations of car chases and all those different things, but it's almost just about not kind of like stunting, you know, what you could do with what you have available, essentially. Because people have done amazing things on very kind of modest kind of budgets or availability, and so it is that thing of like fitting the idea to the context that you have, but that being a stimulating thing, not just a kind of we've only got this, so we can only do this.
I feel like when you see those kind of amazing one location films, so often I feel like, why didn't I think of doing that?
I know,
because
you're like,
often
it's
the setting is like generated some really creative thinking as to how they can keep it limited, and actually the claustrophobia of a single location film can often generate a lot of drama that you wouldn't get in like sprawling epic, you know, gladiator style battles across millions of miles and all that.
Yeah, personally I feel there's something to be said about like having too much resource or like too much scope can actually hamper a very good idea and just make it a superfluous, you know, like 3 minute sprawling action scenes. But actually, did that push the story into a really interesting place, or was it just something I felt was required, I had to do to gain interest? And actually, if the story is amazing, you could probably pull everything back because the story holds its weight.
Yeah, I think you definitely hear filmmakers saying, or even any kind of creative person, that kind of limitations can be very helpful sometimes in terms of, you know, the classic thing is a deadline. You need to do something by a certain date, which means that you go through a number of different emotions, procrastination, you know, grief, you know, all these different things. But then you kind of got to get it done. And then, so in the same way of filmmaking, I've got two people that could fit this idea, right? I need to embrace that, and it's right. This is what I'm doing. Then, you know, so embracing those limitations is a good thing to anchor you to a certain degree.
Yeah, I think it helps you just refine the story to this golden nugget, what it is and what it's going to engage.
I think that process of refining is really important to talk about as well. So I think we found when developing different ideas, usually when we've been forced to develop ideas for competitions or from feedback or whatever, you realise that actually, even if the seed of the idea was not that great, the process of being forced to develop it can actually turn something that was mediocre or not particularly like interesting. Just developing that can actually make you see new angles on the story. It can make you realise that, you know, even a bad starting idea can turn into something that does have legs. I think that's a big encouragement, you know.
Yes, definitely.
Don't just give up on an idea that you have kind of taken a fair way down the road because you've hit a blockage. Get some feedback, get some other people to read over it, talk it through with someone. I think, you know, for scripts that I'd sent you last year, it was only the fact that, you know, you'd said, this is interesting, that made me think, maybe I should actually crack on and finish it rather than just leave it as another kind of half-finished screenplay.
Yeah, I think keeping track of your ideas in some way, you hear different filmmakers have like a drawer in their house where they have different written notes or newspaper clippings. As you're kind of going around every day, you hear someone talking about something, you make a note of it, you see something, documentary, or you know, you can do it digitally now on terms of, you know,
like OneNote
notes or different things, but because you never know what's gonna what you're kind of gonna get inspired about. Or
I think it's so worth it. Just keep a huge like storehouse of just golden nuggets, and there'll be a time where it just like pops back into your mind. You're like, that's it. That's what I needed for this project I'm working on because I had it back then and all that stuff. Because
you may have like quite a sort of a big idea that's not doable now, but then if you kind of go on to make some things, it may open the door for something something different. So
cool. Well, I want to say we all know that the struggle is real with this one. Like Andy said, like we've been kind of working through some scripts and your ideas for a year and a half now, and and it is a big issue of like, oh man, this is just, it's a great idea, but it's not kind of honed out right. So like, we get it, totally get it, but the encouragement is just keep getting that validation from a community of people that get you, that can support you, that have unique vantage points and perspectives on story, and again get to that point where this is not an excuse for me anymore. I'm just going to give it a go.
Yeah. Even the best idea is never going to be perfect, so just run with what you've got and make it as good as it can be.
I'm reminded of that kind of like that room. I don't know if it's quite true, but that room that goes around where Christopher Nolan's Inception, he had like the idea for that 10 years before the film was made. Like, I think that's totally appropriate to
in
just
a dream, and someone else incepted it in his mind, probably.
Yeah, so I think like, and he's obsessed with time, like, and he keeps just pursuing this kind of
and his
story,
his
this concept.
His first feature was a behind the scenes on YouTube, I think, which I think you told me about. But his that's a really good watch for someone trying to because I think he had to shoot on film, but he did it in black and white, I believe. I haven't actually watched it. I've seen it behind the scenes, but that helped them not have to take up as much time with color and lighting in terms of the complications of where they could do that. And his story seemed to be pitched around the actor friends that he had, the resources he had, and then the balance. So it was something that he wanted to do, but he had to embrace those things. It was interesting what you were saying just then about having people around you to encourage you with those things, because that's like an ideal. It's not a given. But
true.
if you do have even just one other person that can give you honest feedback, inspire you, help to give you those deadlines potentially.
Just a little plug, like if you wanted to kind of get more into like a community of people that support you, we're hoping that over this year the channel will be kind of gaining followers, gaining some traction with what we're doing for the future. So if you're interested in that, just hit subscribe, hit the little bell notification just so you know when we get new videos out, hopefully like one every week. And then we'd love to kind of be that encouragement. If you want to send us some scripts, or if you want to just get kind of, hit some comments down below. We'd probably help out as much as we can.
Yeah, definitely. Even just little questions, or what opinions on different things. Just because I don't think we're not given the official roadmap. It's more just sharing experience, and then in terms of stimulating further conversation.